Welcome to the PricePlow Podcast. It is Thursday, October 13th, and we have the legendary Mr. Patrick Mabe of Core Nutritionals and Merica Labz. How are you doing, Patrick?
Doing great. I am absolutely fantastic.
So we were super honored to visit you earlier this year in North Carolina. We were on episode 8 of the Boss Status podcast with you, and we had a blast with you, dude. So I wanted to bring you on and talk about what you've been doing lately. We could talk about Core, Merica, everything that you have going on over there, but also you personally, you just recently had a son and you're getting involved in the tactical games. You're doing a lot of cool stuff. And so usually we wait till the end to suggest your Instagram, but you are at mr.patrick.mabe, right?
Yes.
On Instagram.
Formerly known as Mr. Meaty Thighs. But I felt like it wasn't like an identity crisis, but I want to be known. I didn't want to be known as a nickname. You know, I wanted to be known. I guess your legacy or whatever to be known as like, hey, I'm Patrick. You know, I'm not the meaty thigh character that Doug made me. You know, but yeah. Mr.Patrick.Mabe is where you can find me on Instagram.
I felt like that was a big evolution for you. But Mike, do you know how I met Patrick? Have I ever told you the story?
Was it when they were moving and you were helping with
No, this is actually way before that. This is actually
shot guns.
We shot guns in the woods of Wisconsin like a long time ago.
With Stuffs.com. Okay,
with Stuffs.com. Yeah. We were just the two reps that went to that. No one else went to that, I think. I don't think. No, Purist.
No, Jared Bond was there from First Form.
He was?
Bo Priest might have been. Bo Priest
and the other, the tall guy, the boxer. I forget his name.
Jason. He's with Ignite now. I saw him at Next.
Cool.
But yeah, that was the first time we met, and it was a really cool event. Like, for a store to like host you and like, hey, if you want to come early, we're gonna shoot some guns at this range, and like we go in this random range. Like, there's a long gravel road to get there, and I honestly was not proficient at all, but it kind of was natural. But I hadn't touched a gun in a long time.
I was actually really proud that day because I was the Jersey guy, so I knew everyone was expecting very little from me, and I really I actually was very proud of how well I did that day.
Yeah,
but
that was a good time. That is funny.
It's funny, since that trip, there have been like multiple like serial killer documentaries about Wisconsin, and if I had known that when we went that day, I would have been a lot more afraid. Like, we were like really far into the woods. I felt.
Yeah, we were out there.
Yeah. It's been a few great years. So I was just to kind of say, like, with your name change and everything, I felt like you've really grown into your role and taken a lot of leadership. And so I was really excited to do this podcast. We talk with Doug a lot, and Doug's really fun to talk to, but I felt like this was a great time to talk with Patrick.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you guys having me on here. I'm pretty humbled. I try to keep a humble mindset. So I'm just a regular dude trying to figure it out, you know, so the fact that like I get to have this platform to speak and maybe impact some people, it's pretty cool. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of want to say, like Mike said, with that recent trip to North Carolina, we do a lot of company trips, and this is not to say that any other one isn't interesting or fun, but that was like a really big trip for me. Like, to be able to spend time with you guys and create some content and really get to know you guys closer. It felt really good to know that we're partnered and really supporting such a good brand. So from there, it was like, all right, cool. I want to do more stuff with this, not just this company, but like these people, you know?
Yeah.
That matters a lot to us.
Yeah. And we'll keep it rolling. I think there's a lot of things we have in common with each other. And like, you guys, your community in the Discord is just phenomenal. And I love the fact that it's not just supplement stuff in there. Like, people can talk about gaming, they can talk about guns, they can talk about just whatever. And like, that's what people want to be involved with, right? Like, within a community, you know, like, yeah, we're all brought together for, you know, we're all in the supplement industry together, right? But that's still, it's still a small part of our lives. We have a lot of other stuff going on. So I think it's really cool that you guys are touching on that. You have a community that is a cool place to come and like bring whoever you are. You want to talk about guns, you want to create a new thread because you I think you guys have a dog thread, you know, like, so like, I think that's really cool, you know, so because we all are here because supplements brought us together, but we all have a lot more to offer too, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess to like kind of start the quote unquote interview part, like, what brought you into supplements then? Can we get a little bit of your background?
Yeah. So, I went to James Madison University, and in college, I played football in high school. I always lifted weights for football. And then when I got to college, I needed that avenue because I wasn't playing a sport. So I started lifting weights. My buddy introduced me to Lane Norton. So I actually was introduced to bodybuilding through the natural bodybuilding world, not through like the IFBB. So like I really didn't follow like the Jay Cutlers and the Ronnie Colemans at the time. I followed Lane Norton on bodybuilding.com. So right. So I got into bodybuilding, got into supplements, and always had that. It was always a fun spot for me. Graduated college, and my avenue, my passion was really bodybuilding, was working out. It was fitness. It was my passion, that I just knew that fitness was my route. But I wanted to make a career out of bodybuilding. I didn't know how I was going to do that, but that was I told people that. I became a personal trainer at a local gym, 5 minutes from my house, my parents' house. And then I was competing at the same time. I got my pro card in the natural bodybuilding world. I got my butt kicked as a pro. And then that was in 2013 or 2014. And then I moved to Northern Virginia from Southern Virginia for an ex-girlfriend. And I was a fitness manager at a Gold's Gym. During that time, my coach, Kurt Widener, who's an athlete, he's been an athlete for Core for a long, long time. He said, "Hey, Doug just put a post on Facebook that he's looking for management in Northern Virginia. I know you're up there." I was like, well, I look up to Doug Miller. I take his supplements. Why not just send him my resume? You know, like, I don't really want to leave here, but like, hey, whatever. So I was 23, 24. So I sent him my resume, and I was the Arlington Nutrition Corner manager from starting in January 2015. So at that time, we had 3 stores. We had 1 brand. I was fulfilling the Core Nutritionals D2C from the store. I'd get like emails on the side, and like I would take them off, peel the stickers off, and put them in a USPS little bag or box and take them to the Postal Service the next day. So that was my first gig. And the next year we opened up 4 stores. We started another brand. And then in 2017, there was a sales role that was kind of fulfilled for Core, but it was kind of like part-time. We had Muscle Foods USA at the time, and that became vacant. And Doug kind of naturally just came to me and said, "Hey, what do you think about coming on to Core full-time?" I said, "If that's the role, whatever you want me to do." So that's when I jumped into the sales side of Core. And then it's just been a roller coaster ever since. And there's lots going on now. So
one of the things sorry.
So I'm not sure how involved you currently are with Merica Labz. I think you're pretty involved with it, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'll be honest. Like when I think Merica Labz, I think Patrick. Like then Ben's drinking a boom for those who aren't watching. And Patrick's on a lot of the videos. For those of you who are listening on the audio feeds, we do need to talk about the hair.
Oh yeah.
So what's the story? So yeah, Patrick has some awesome hair, but it's Merica. So honestly, Patrick Mabe to me, and I mean, hopefully Doug's not gonna get mad. Whatever, Doug. Patrick is the face of Merica Labz, as far as I'm concerned.
A lot of people think that,
mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of pressure, and it's a pull on my heartstrings, because I also am Crush It lifestyle. You know, like I am
right.
Core Nutritionals. You know, so like when they have me wanting to do all these Merica Labz, Merica Energy videos, and I'm Brad Pit Viper here. I go into this character that takes a ton of energy from me. And I filmed we got some new ones coming out. We went to Lowe's for paint on Friday night, and I painted a room on Saturday. And I was like, "Sam, here, I need to film for Brad Pit Viper." So I gave her my phone. She's got Ryder strapped to her chest on a baby carrier. And here we are in Lowe's, our Friday night, and she's filming for Brad Pit Viper. But yeah, I do a ton of the videos. I am kind of like your typical, you know, you see this kind of character at a NASCAR race. Like, you know, I fit the Merica brand very well, but it does pull on my heartstrings, because like I am Crush It lifestyle, and I'm trying to bridge some gaps in the supplement space, and with our own brand, that we're not just a bodybuilding brand, we're a lifestyle brand. And so if you want to compete in the tactical games or shoot some guns, but you like to take supplements, hey, we're a brand for that too, you know? So I'm trying to expose Core Nutritionals to that more. But yeah, I do fit the American, I guess, the branding a little bit better. Because I'm a Southern guy, you know. I have a mullet, I have a mustache. And
I feel like the form follows the function in these cases, because I've known you with a buzzed head. I've known you with the beard. Like, you've done a lot of these things, and I really admire, because like you really do the crush it lifestyle. Like I've seen you eat meals at very inopportune times to make sure you hit your meals. You know, like I've seen you guys train at very awkward times so that you could train while still getting work done for your brands. But you also are from the South, and you drive a truck and you shoot guns. But you're like, I don't know, I is there a part of Brad Pitt Viper that like is like, that's a part of, like, I don't know what you grew up like, but like, is that a part of your actual identity, or do you feel like you're emulating people around you?
No, it's definitely a part of my identity.
Yeah,
I do. It's easy for me to get into that. Like, that accent and that character is definitely more second nature than like trying to do, like, if you try to get me to do like a Australian or like a UK or like some other culture, like, I would be terrible. I would not do well. But it's nothing for me to like get into that character. I mean, like, I have roots here in North Carolina. We have a property. My pawpaw grew Christmas trees on a Christmas tree farm, which you don't know a lot of people that do that. We have a John Deere tractor on the property. We have a Massey Ferguson tractor. I grew up riding 4-wheelers and dirt bikes. And that's just, yeah, I got friends in low places, you know what I'm saying?
So for the sake of the Yankees and the West Coasters listening, what's a pawpaw?
Pawpaw is my grandfather.
Right.
I got a pawpaw and a memaw. Yeah.
But it's kind of funny, because like you like the crusher lifestyle, like, to me, like, I've seen Patrick very serious, you know, like, I like that you do live that lifestyle, but you turn it very quickly. And those brands, I mean, I assume you were around for the inception of or the conception of Merica Labz.
Merica was 2016, was that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess the concept started coming around 2016 when so Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton were running against each other. We were preparing for the election in November, and we but we didn't launch the brand. The concept came out then, but we launched the brand in 2017.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Awesome.
So I was around for that. And then, not for Core though.
Yeah. And that was, the biggest thing that struck us then was Patriots Way, with the massive, like, overdone inclusions, which, like, you started something huge there. A lot of people took that and ran with it. But as far as I know, you were the originals to actually like go absurd over the board with inclusions, and people loved it.
Yeah. You know, something interesting that you brought to my mind, like, we actually have done a lot of, we should probably put more marketing behind it, but like, we are leaders in innovation, like here in this, in this building. You know, we've kind of been first to market for a lot of things, you know, or one of the very first, you know, like, I know Doug said for the longest time, we were the first to do non-proprietary blends. Well, there's an argument that NutriBio, you know, probably was one of the first to really hit hard on that, you know, but Core, a lot of people don't know Core started in 2005. It's just taken us, you know, a little bit longer to, like, it took 2013 is when things really started to change, you know, so we've been in this space for a long time, and we've come up with great, I think, intros to the market, you know, within that time.
2013, was that suspiciously when Patrick joined?
No, that's I think that's when he left his full-time job.
Oh, that makes sense. Sometimes you just got to do it, man. Like, sometimes I remember I was double dipping, and I was working a corporate job while starting my own thing here, and I did it too safe, to be honest. Like, I was making double money and everything, which is great, and you need that because there might be hard times coming. But at the same time, like, dude, looking back, I would have slapped myself and be like, no, first off, like, do this, and second, like, just do it. So it's but hey, that's when you go all in. It's like what in that Batman movie where it's like, once you're no longer tethered, then it like forces you to learn how to fly. So it's best to do, you know, when young and dumb and childless and all that good stuff. So either way, so you recently, but here's what I've been impressed about. I want to talk about two things. Like, so I, unless there's other things to talk about business wise, tactical games, and the fact that you're doing all this stuff having just had a child. It's been maybe what, 4 or 5 months, I forget how long.
Ryder's 3 months old.
3 months old, and you've been like crushing the last 3 months. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that. You have a baby boy. How's it going? How's dad life so far for you?
It's amazing. You talk to a lot of dads and they say, there's not a lot of connection in the first, year, or there's not a lot of return. It's, there's just not much to do. And like, I guess it's all perspective. And like, I just make sure that I'm a part of the day. Right. Like, so I'm going to pick him up today. So I was like, hey guys, you wanted 4:00 Eastern time. I said, can we move it to 3:30? So that way I have adequate time to make sure I'm out of here by 5, because I'm picking up my son. But like in the morning, like if he's waking up and he's crying and Sam's taking a shower, I want to make sure that I'm like waking him up several times a week, so like he's the first thing he sees. And now like he's at that stage where like he's smiling and he notices our faces. So like I'll just come to him with a big old face and a smile, and he just opens up and he's smiling back. And that is so rewarding, So I love it. I've always wanted to be a father. I am so blessed to have a son, because there's this, I think we might get into this, but like there's a new passion in me that's starting to burn, and that's being a leader of men, and instilling positive masculinity within this world. And so like I feel absolutely blessed that we have a son. And I joke with Sam, our pregnancy wasn't like the worst. She looked beautiful. Our birth was very good. Like we did it fully natural. And I was like, we're having 7 kids. That's a farm, like we're doing this thing. Which then she thinks I'm crazy, and but I love it. I feel like I was meant to be a father, and yeah, we're excited to continue to grow the family.
Nice. Well, congratulations. Honestly, yeah, I would have as many as you can feasibly have, is my suggestion. We talked about this in our podcast, and my greatest regret is starting so late and everything, and not wanting them in the first place. And I gotta wear that, and that's how it's always going to be. And I fully accepted it, and I love my daughter. We have so much fun and everything, but there are times where I have to take on the role of being a sibling. Like I have an alter ego as a boy named as her older brother Tony. And so but that's probably not the best thing to do sometimes, but sometimes we got to play, but then I got to snap back into dad mode. And it is what it is. If I could do it again, yeah, I would go for 7 kids. Now, I don't think 7 we would have made it to 7, but 3 or 4 would have been cool. Yeah. So yeah. And you're already thinking like the same things that I would be thinking, is like a lot of people like in 2020 started buying like houses out in the woods and everything, or they wanted to get away from society. And some people have since moved back. A lot of people have doubled down, a lot of the homesteading and everything. But at the end of the day, from like what I'm seeing, is like everyone wants to eat good homegrown food, but ain't nobody wants to shovel goat shit and do it themselves. Yeah. And so you're either going to have to pay someone who just doesn't care as much, or find like ranch hands basically, or you need to have a lot of kids. And so like if you did want to like actually legit do the farm thing or the ranch thing, having a lot of kids, you see, I seen it now, that I've helped work on a ranch a little bit, and I seen that it's like that is the way. That's why they had a lot of kids and everything. And it's awesome. You get to you get to see them grow and thrive. And I think with a lot of these boys, and maybe this will get into some of your manhood stuff, but a lot of these boys are not meant. I'm an academic. I was perfectly happy doing math facts in school, and I love that. But these boys are not all meant to sit in a chair and stare at a chalkboard all day long, or worse, a tablet or whatever it may be. A lot of them deserve to be out there with the goats. And it's sad to see a lot of that get removed. But at the same time, here we are talking about it, and I think it's like been brought back into the psyche that the boomer generation that raised us more or less wanted for us to have this really good, comfortable lifestyle. But I think like we got too far removed from nature. And like not that long ago, my grandma, who was part of the greatest generation, was down in Little Italy in the garage. They were still chopping chickens' heads off in the garage, and the boomers got Costcoized or whatever, Walmartized or whatever. And it's nice that we don't have to chop chickens' heads off, but you know what? I don't like the disconnection from food. And so I think like what you just alluded to, 7 kids on the farm, that brings you back to like what we are. And I think we maybe can do it with some technology. we bring some of our world into that, but I don't like to lose it completely. So that's my little rant. I'm not sure like what you're really thinking, but I do endorse like not stopping at one. That's for sure.
Yeah. 7 won't happen. And like, I don't know where I guess I'm going with that is like kind of what you're touching on is I want my family to grow up with opportunities within the house to provide and do things with our hands. And so like we live in a HOA community right now. And I think, we've talked about this before and it's a great neighborhood. I have met great men in that neighborhood who we've started to gather on. We starting a new men's group kind of thing within the neighborhood. There's a ton of kids. So like soon Ryder will be able to just go outside, run down the street and just start playing. All right. So there's a ton of opportunity come from this neighborhood, but it's not where we want to be for the long term. We do want to find some land where we can do more things that interest us, right? Whether that's just a small garden, maybe some chickens, so you can start and having a little bit of that provide for yourself. I think a lot of what we learned in the past, 2 to 3 years of this world is that, and I don't think I would have been awake to it unless none of this happened, but we just got content and with everybody doing stuff for us, and then there's something happens and then like there's people are scrambling through the grocery stores and the shelves are empty and it's like, holy crap, let's take a step back and we need to look at our family and what we need to do to make sure our family is can survive on its own and not rely on outside sources, so that's where like the 7 kids in a farm kind of comes from. But like we won't be there, but like having a little bit of piece of that mindset and with the modern world, again, it's going to be hard for me and Sam as she's in another office here at this same place, and we're very much important roles in this business to manage a farm and 7 kids and help run this company, so like it's just it's kind of like a joke that's a pipe dream, but we do want to have somewhat of that, right? So I think like the future is like, hey, in like maybe 10 plus years or whatever that looks like, we are able to find 10 plus acres of land that we can kind of have our little spot, and have some things that we can do on our own and a place where our kids can help provide, because I grew up, not on a farm. I grew up with some opportunities like that. Like I went to hang out with my papa in the summer and I trimmed Christmas trees and drive the snapper, a rear motor snapper through Christmas trees, getting stuck in groundhog holes and just doing hard stuff. And call it man shit, or whatever it is. But like you learn a lot, you get a lot of experience from that. You build a lot of character doing that. And I want to be able to provide that for my family. I don't want to do a lot of screens and stuff like that, but it's necessary. It's a part of our world. We're going to understand it. We're going to use it as tools. We're going to respect it, but we're not going to be, we're not going to idolize it, and we're not going to use it as distraction,
I like that a lot. One of the things that Patrick said over the last year that really stuck with me and I've tried to really employ and also share is to create more than you consume, which just that really stuck with me, whether it's content, whether it's like literally physically in the world. That really stuck with me. The thing I think that I just kind of idealize when we talk about this stuff is remaining in touch with nature. Like one big regret of mine is that I never hunted as a kid. I've shot a lot of guns, I've done a lot of stuff in nature, and I totally agree. Even if it's dealing with Christmas trees, being out, getting your hands dirty and getting into frustrating situations and fixing that like man shit, like that's really important. But one part of nature that I really missed out on is the dealing with life, like taking another life, like hunting and providing food and being part of that cycle of life. That's one aspect that I never got to be part of that I regret. But
that's
really
something that I didn't either as a child. And so like I've already talked to my dad and it's like, hey man, we need to hunt. Like, and like we need to get,
well, I knew
we have the land. We just need to commit to doing it. And he was like, well, we're gonna have to figure out how to strip, gut the deer or whatever, whatever it is. I'm like, yeah, we'll watch a YouTube video, which is,
YouTube
hey,
University.
great. Like there's modern, stuff. And then it might be a mess. We might not get any meat from it, but we just need to do it.
But that's what I admire that, and I agree with that, because like you said, it's a tool. You're not idolizing it. A lot of times I feel like we can all get wrapped up in it, right? Like with bodybuilding, we've all gotten really into social media. It is a tool to build what you can influence, but it shouldn't be your entire life. Like you can use it to learn how to skin that deer, but at the end of the day, you got to be out in the dirt. You got to be skinning that thing yourself. Like I knew that I should do it when I thought about it, and I was afraid of the thought process of it. Like the idea of killing something and ripping it apart was like, it's very brutal, obviously, and you don't really want to do that. But that was what showed me, like, if I don't feel that I could do it if it was necessary, then that's something I think as a man you should be able to do if necessary.
Yeah, for me, my only hunt's been hog hunts, but at least like there, it's a good intro, because these hogs, the wild hogs in Texas, some in Oklahoma, other states, they're tearing the land apart, and they're like an invasive species. So I guess that could help some, but I think it's good that we're actually talking about this, because like we're further down the road, but like we're at the point now where you're talking about getting out in nature. We're like begging people to like get out and look at the sunshine, so like. So I think like society's gotten so far away that there's baby steps involved, and you guys are obviously further along, but like just get out in the sun, just like the idea of grounding yourself, or and you don't have to be crazy about it or anything, but like letting your skin touch the earth. This doesn't happen to a lot of people anymore, and it's insane. And you see people having all sorts of mental illnesses, and we could like chase down a zillion different causes of that, whether it's the food or whatever. But if you like have someone fast a little bit, get out in the sunshine and touch the ground, they are going to feel better. And if you put them in a safe like forest, not a scary crazy one or anything, but you put them out in nature on a hiking trail or something, they're going to feel better. And then you just have to like get them back out. And I think the return to nature is definitely a big thing. I agree. And then taking it to the next step of actually hunting and knowing your food. I think it's an honorable thing. I think it's far more honorable to kill your meat than to, have it be slaughtered at some operation that who knows, might've been shipped back and forth between two countries, the way these things are labeled. So, it's great. So Patrick, can you tell me about, you're starting a man's group in your neighborhood. Like, how does one go about that? Was this like you starting it, or tell me about it?
This particular one wasn't. So going back to like having the fire to just be around more men and kind of get together. It started as I started a Zoom one because two of my best friends that I went to high school with, college with, they're still back in Roanoke, Virginia, and I don't get to see them all the time, but I wanted to be closer to them. So we decided to pick a book, and we would meet once a week, and we would discuss the book. And like right now, we're not on a book, and we're not very consistent. Like I think it was 2 weeks ago when we had a get together, but we just get together and we talk. We just have fellowship. So I've been doing that. I just recently joined, or I'm trying to. Just depends on scheduling. Our church has a men's group they just started called Knuckleheads. So I sought out that, and I went on Monday. And then Tuesday, this was brought to me by somebody else, and it's a friend in the neighborhood who I've become very close with, and he wanted to start a kind of like a men's gathering, but he was doing it around whiskey, so doing around bourbon. So get together, bring the thing is bring a bourbon, have it completely in the bag and taped up, and then you pour, and then you discuss the bourbon and try to kind of figure out what's happening with it. And then after that, once you've had a sip or two, you share it and tell a story behind it. And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to kind of share a little bit of personal information. I went on Tuesday, but I've made a vow to not drink through the rest of the year. I kind of found myself in like a slippery slope with alcohol, in a place where like you couldn't just drink one, so if it was around you buy like, I like IPA. So I'd buy a 4-pack of those nice 16-ounce IPAs, and, you buy it on a Friday, have planning on have one Friday and then one on Saturday or something like that. Well, sometimes I would drink the whole thing. And like, I realized like, dude, you need to take a break, So I took a break, but like I committed to this whiskey night. Right. So I told the host that I wasn't going to drink. I brought a cigar. And then he was like, dude, well, I still want you to come. I'm like, yeah, I want to come too. So like, we'll just come. And then I told the guys before I started, and the amount of praise that I've gotten when I tell this testimony, has been super, super cool. Like I didn't think I would get like, dude, you're what a pansy, I didn't think I would get that, but the amount of like, they said, man, dude, good for you, man. That's awesome. Like get a fist bump. And then like an hour later, there's a pause and they're like one whiskey in, and one guy looks at me and he's like, dude, I think it's super cool that you're sitting here talking to us and you're not drinking, like, I'm like, yeah, man, like this is men's fellowship. We're sitting here, we're being vulnerable, we're sharing stories, and we're growing together, and so I'm seeking that out. Like I'm trying to, and I posted a story today that was, be a producer, not a consumer. And in that, find a group that is like-minded, that pushes you. You can push them, but at the same time, if you need to like lean on them and like maybe confess or cry on their shoulder, they're there for you too, and men need that. So there's just been this big calling for me as of late. I'm a spiritual guy, I'm a Christian, and I like seeking that out. And so that's kind of been a little bit of a journey that I've been on in the past year or so. And then it kind of goes back to like, now I'm a father of a son, and there's a lot of things that, like Carl, who's been in the group before, who's a general manager of our stores. And I think I said it earlier, we're just a bunch of dudes trying to figure it out, like no man has it figured out. So, but like, if we get a bunch of men together, we can figure a lot of stuff out.
The drinking thing is tough, because like I'm kind of in a similar situation. Like I don't like to just kind of have a couple. Like if I drink, I like to do it, and parallel to that, I realized every time I stopped drinking for long amounts of time, my work got better, my training got better, I felt better, I was a better person, just overall my life improved. But at the same time, I like to smoke cigars. Whiskey goes really well with cigars. And it's this big part of, masculine cultures, like enjoying a beer, enjoying a whiskey. When we go out, one of the things that I actually really enjoy about like if we're around the Crush It team is like that drinking is not like a part of the culture often, or at least not in a large amount. I always joke there's two crews when we go to expos. There's the ones that wake up to train in the morning, and there's the ones that stay out late at night. And part of the hard part of our job is having to be part of both of them. But when I'm with you guys, we get to like spend our time more effectively. But like you kind of mentioned, like with your crew of guys, like it's fun to be around other men and drink a little bit and talk about it. I'd love to do that, except drinking pre-workout without seeing the supplement facts panel and talking about what you felt from it.
Yeah.
Dude, that sounds fun.
We can totally do it.
I might as well throw in my little 2 cents. This would sound crazy to anyone who knew me 20 to 15 years ago, but I absolutely loathe alcohol now. I literally hate it. It makes me feel terrible. And I think a lot of that for me started like from like some sort of biological level, when people start getting into keto or carnivore type diets, which I bounce in and out of that kind of stuff. But once, and this happens, a lot of people who go low carb, alcohol just doesn't hit the same anymore. And it never came back to me. And I don't mind that at all. Though the way I view food right now, and the way any food source, supplement, or drink really is, does this give me energy? I'm very into energy. Like I'm middle-aged now. I need to keep my energy levels high, and I loathe and despise low energy dads. I will tell you that right now, because we can get into that in a second. But so I look at a food, does it give me energy or does it take my energy away? And some foods that you consider healthy, that might work for you, take my energy away, and others give me energy. Like meat obviously gives me lots of energy. Saturated fats give me lots of energy. So that's kind of, and alcohol does the opposite. It takes my energy away. And so I get the benefits of like having a drink every now and then. It just doesn't suit my body anymore. And but there's nothing I can't say sober that I wouldn't say drunk or whatever. I may have messed that phrase up, but there's nothing that I don't know. It doesn't bother me anymore. I used to like need this alcohol lubrication crutch or whatever. And that to me, I'd go back in time again and slap myself. So it's not necessary, but we do need some sort of brotherhood. And if it is alcohol based or, that's better than nothing, I will say. But to me,
I think the thing I've learned about during this little process, this little journey that I'm on is like, as long as you have command over it, right? Like, so if you go to that whiskey night with your boys, if you have command over, okay, I'm doing a taste test, right? So we can talk about it and have fellowship around this thing. If you don't have command over it, that means you're pretty much going to get drunk. And I think that is the big thing that I've kind of learned, because I really enjoy the process of alcohol. I love hearing about the stories of, how bourbon's made or how whiskey's made, how craft beer has come so far and the process of that. My papa made wine. He didn't drink a lot at all. He would just taste it to help, know what he needed to do. Hell, he was still in moonshine, and he just loved the process, the engineering of it. And I have a little bit of that in me, but I got into myself into a slippery slope of like, hey, it's starting to control me a little bit. We need to take a step back here, And I think, so like having fellowship over that is fine, as long as it's not like, hey, we're going to the bar for men's night, but we're getting screwed up. We're getting effed up, then it's not, the purpose is not fellowship and gathering and growing with each other. It's just going to party.
Right. Yeah. There's a difference between escape. And I think it's used as an escape for guys. Yes. Like they disappear to the football game all day long. Well, moms with the kids, like that's not cool. Instead of, sometimes men do need to not escape, but go elsewhere in order to better themselves, or at least like be with other guys. Like historically we were out hunting, and I think that's still wired into the male brain, and things they go awry when we don't have that. It's interesting, but like I think social media has simultaneously hurt things, but brought a lot of people together to talk about this, where we didn't have this kind of conversation back in the days of the forums. And like, I mentioned the days of bodybuilding.com forums, and they were best, they're legendary, but we didn't really have that kind of level of discussion. There's something about social media that allows you to pick and choose who you're talking to. And then all of a sudden you're like, dude, we got this really cool group of guys, and so we need that in person though. And so I love online communities and everything, but there's something to be said about the handshake. So
I think one of the main differences is that forums were a place for communities around a subject, but social media allows you to live a life on that platform, and an individual life. There's like one of the things I like about Discord, like what Patrick was talking about, is like there's a dog Discord, like there's different like places for you to talk about things that you love, and it brings people together. But social media, it's your page and you make your content, and that is on its own, and it's almost isolating. Like people can comment on that, but there's no community. I mean, we do our best to bring people together, like Core brings together natural competitors and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, it's still you on your page, and that can be very isolating. And it also it makes me feel isolated, especially because you see so much more. You see so many different lives, so many different people that are honestly fake lives that you're just seeing. And I'm sure we could talk about this forever, how people can fake their lives online, and I think it's hard for people to see that. But there's no longer, like you said, even like a virtual handshake on like communities, like forums. You were able to see other people doing things that were similar in that community, whereas social media is all about, well, that guy's got a Lamborghini and that guy's, got a lot of girlfriends or like whatever.
Yeah.
So moving on. So I don't know if you had anything else to talk about fatherhood or any of that stuff.
Well, we kind of touched on the tactical games a bit.
And that's what my next question. So dig right in. Like, how did this happen? Give us everything, and assume that some of the listeners have zero clue what tactical games is. Can kind of figure
so
it out.
We'll plug the tactical games. So the tacticalgames.com, and you can go and learn about it. But essentially the breakdown is you're in a competition. It's a shooting competition with fitness. So you are judged on accuracy and time, but there's fitness that's involved. So essentially, if I can explain it to somebody, it's like I'm doing a obstacle course mixed with strongman, not so much CrossFit, because CrossFit is actually like a name for like its own sport, but functional fitness, strongman type activities. Like you're picking up sandbags, you're farmer carrying stuff, you're dragging a sled, you're running around the compound with a rucksack on. So like you're doing like hard fitness that's a little more functional, right? And then while you do a fitness iteration, and then after that fitness iteration, you shoot a rifle platform in the 5.56, 223. You can shoot 300 blackout, but it's mostly those two. And then you shoot a pistol platform, and it's mostly 9mm. Some people might shoot 40 or 45, but I don't think you're allowed much over that caliber. So you basically do these things called battles. They're called battles. And you have, over a 2-day weekend, you have 6 total battles and 2 aggregates. One's a fitness aggregate, one is a shooting aggregate. And then after the whole weekend, you're judged on your time. So I was the fastest when I did it in April out of my group, the tactical men's, but I came in 13th out of 26 or something like that, because I was not accurate. So like, it doesn't pay to be fast. You need to be fast, but it's better to be more accurate. So anyways, that's a little bit about the tactical games. I got into it. I competed in 2019. I competed in 3 shows. I got 2 second place finishes and a 5th place finish. And I was very proud of that season. I felt like I was with the best of them. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't have the genetic body for a first place world champion in natural bodybuilding. I can probably get there and scrap and win a couple shows, but I don't have like that genetic pop that's just natural, so I would have to win on who's there and just sheer conditioning and just hard muscle, which is kind of what I bring to the table. So I was okay. I've left bodybuilding in a sense. I was okay with doing that because I had a really good year. I won some money as a pro that I never had before. And I came in 5th in the world championship. So that was cool. After that year, both of my elbows completely, medial epicondylitis, both elbows were ruined. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of getting hurt, because I had herniated my L4 and L5 in 2017. I had to recover from that. I was like, bodybuilding is just tearing me up. So I need to take a step back. So I started trying to be more functional. I want to have kids one day, and I want to be able to like pick them up and turn and juke and run soccer or whatever and not get hurt. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start being more functional. I'm going to figure these elbows out. But while I figure my elbows out, I need to do something. So I started running more. This was at the same time about 2020 happened. And before 2020 happened, Sam and I needed new hobbies because we weren't bodybuilding. So we took a class at a local gun range. So then I got trigger fever, so like I'm super into it now. So now I've added shooting to going to shooting at a range and trying to get better at this skill, because I just need something, right? Like men do, right? Guys, boys, they need a task, and I need something. So I added that to my repertoire, whatever. So then I found the tactical games through social media and just searching around. And I found that it is a fitness and a shooting competition. And I'm not doing bodybuilding more, but I need fitness, and I'm liking the shooting thing. So like, dude, this is perfect. Right. So I was like, I'm committing to this, and I just jumped in. And a lot of people don't do this. Like, a lot of people are like, man, I want to do that, but they don't do it. And I'm just the guy's like, I'm going to suck and I'm going to love it, So I just jumped in and just did it. And I was impressing a ton of people just on sheer fitness, just because I'm athletic, but my shooting was not good, so I've learned a lot about that. So yeah, that's my new journey. I did it in April. They've had a whole season. They have like 10 to 12 events throughout the year that are literally across the country. So there's a lot of travel involved. But they hold one in South Carolina. That's easy to get to. And, but next year I'm doing a skirmish, which is like a practice day. I'm doing one in December. And so, next year I'm trying to make a pretty good run, and I want to do 3 or 4. and really just go at it. And at the same time, I can't not take Core Nutritionals with me. So I have this new goal of ours is to bridge a gap between supplements and the shooting world. So the tactical games, they have an affiliate that's a supplement brand, but it's a smaller brand that is just in the tactical world. It's not so much in like you guys probably never heard of them. But anyways, I'm trying to bridge some of that gap. So I love that we now have Hydrate. Our intra product is great for stuff like this. Protein works for anybody. We have all the Lifeline, and we just have so many products that fit any lifestyle. And so like, I'm trying to bridge the gap between this, but to do that, I feel like I've needed to jump all in and be a competitor and an athlete before we can like say, hey, we're just random supplement people and we see you guys are doing fitness and we want you to take our products, without any knowledge of what they're doing. So yeah, that's kind of been my journey this past year and a half or so.
I could see.
So when you're shooting, I assume it's after you've done a bunch of heavy lifts. So like, are you shaking and stuff as you're shooting?
Oh yeah, your heart rate's up, you're fatigued. Yeah. You do the fitness, then you shoot. And then you do the fitness, then you shoot, you do the fitness, then you shoot, you do the fitness, and you shoot. And it's about, you call it like 4 sets or 4 rounds of every minute on the minute in a sense, or like for time. It's for time actually, I guess, in the CrossFit world.
Okay.
But yeah, so like you're super fatigued.
So, and like, can you kind of talk about other age classes or weight classes? Tell me about the demographics and about how many people are in each one.
The one I went to had about upwards to 200 competitors. It's really grown. Social media is great, right? Like it's really grown through social media the past couple of years. They've had new ownership. There is a men's elite, which is the top of the top. So like, if anybody's listening who knows CrossFit, Jacob Hepner was a CrossFit competitor who now is a tactical games competitor. And he's like the top of the guys. And he's like a little bit of a poster child for him. Like he's kind of works with them a little bit. But you have the elite, and then you have men's tactical, which I competed in. So men's tactical is a little bit less in weight, like used. So the weights aren't as heavy. And you're allowed a red dot on your pistol. The elite have to shoot iron sights. Then there's men's intermediate, which the weight is even less than that. And I'm pretty sure you're allowed a red dot as well. So I didn't want to be an intermediate because I'm not an intermediate guy. I'm an athlete. And I run a red dot on my pistol, and I've only trained with that. So I was like, I'm just going to go in the tactical division. So I ran the tactical division. And there's the same in women. So there's women's elite, intermediate, and tactical. And then there's men's 40 plus and men's 50 plus. And then there is a team division. So you can run it with a buddy. And there's specific, the battles are a little bit different for the teams. And so that's a little bit of the breakdown of like the divisions.
2 things that I want to know about is one, safety wise with this stuff. Like, how insane, like, first off, how many waivers did you have to sign to do this? Because that just legally in America, I just imagine that was like a freaking constitution in of itself. But like, how, like, I assume is there a briefing every single time you do one of these? Or because if you shoot around competent people, like at a certain point you get tired of watching the video at the beginning of the range and everything like that.
Yeah. So there's a waiver when you sign up for an event. And then there's a briefing so the first event might start at 7 a.m. or so pretty early. There's a briefing at 6 a.m. really early. I forget the times, but like you have to report to the briefing. And then they go over safety, they go over medical, they go over a little bit of the place. And then there's a battle boss for each battle who is in charge. He or she is number 1 in charge. They can stop anything that they want. Then there's judges that are with each shooter. So there's in a battle, there's about 5 lanes max, and there's 5 judges and 1 battle boss. So that judge is watching me the entire time. And so they're watching me for like, now they're not watching my target because you'll see that after the battle's over, but they're watching like the line. If you have to get a sandbag over a line, they're watching that. They're watching your reps. They're watching all that stuff, because then they have to like either go and report that they didn't complete this, and this. But they're also watching the safety. And then, so this is when because you're doing stuff with a rifle most likely slung on your back and a pistol on your holster and your hip. And so you run cleared. And then when you enter the firing lane, there's a firing line. You load, make ready, and you are given a set amount of shots per that round. So you have if I have 4 sets, I have 4 magazines on me that for my pistol and 4 magazines on me for my rifle. And once I get to the firing line, I load and make ready. I shoot all 12 rounds. Then once that's clear, once those rounds are done, so let's say if it's a rifle, the bolt release is locked. You then have to release the bolt and put the hammer down and say clear. Then you move to your pistol and you do the same thing. You load and make ready. You shoot your 12. Hammer, drop the hammer, pull the trigger, pin the trigger, clear, or a holster, and then say clear. Once you say clear and your hands are up and they see that you're clear, you can return to your fitness. So if they don't see, if you start to return, if you do that, do hammer down everything and you're cleared, but you don't throw your hands up and say clear, they'll make you go back and say clear.
And that's all part of your time.
And
that's all part of the time factor.
That?
Like all this is like that clear point that's timed. Like, so like,
yeah, like
it's
for speed or is accuracy? Like what are the metrics you're graded on? I guess Ben's asking if it's like timed.
So they're, let's see. So like there'll be a timeout. So like, let's say you get 15 minutes to run this battle. If you don't complete those 15 minutes, what you do not complete, depending on what you did and what it is, they will calculate that as misses. For every, so let's just, let me see if I can kind of walk through this. Just so for every miss, so there's a circle on a target like this. And if I'm missing out here, if I don't have 12 in that circle, because there's 4 circles for each.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's 4 things, 4 rounds. For every miss is 10 seconds to your time.
Wow.
Here's how they score you though. So they will take the fastest and the accurate or the best time. So like if you finish in 12 minutes and 30 seconds and you have 5 misses and that is the best whatever. So they convert the 12 minutes and 30 seconds to total seconds. And then they add the 5 misses, they add 50 seconds to that. And you are the number one. You receive 100%, 100 points. Then they take the next time. So if I had, I'm making up numbers, but if I had 5,000 points and I'm the number one, so I'm receiving 100 points. The person in second had 4,000 or whatever, and they would be the percentage, that percent would go into the number one person. So basically the second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on are determined as a percentage of the bar that was set. So wow. I'm butchering a little bit. The rules are on the website, but because they've really thought this all the way through, because there's a lot of factors, right? There's a lot, there's time, there's accuracy, there's not completing it. There's a bunch of stuff that goes into it. So they have this whole methodology of scoring kind of figured out.
So super minutia details. So while you're running, is there a magazine inserted at all, or is it completely?
No.
Okay. Cool.
There's zero magazine inserted into your gun unless you're on the firing line.
Right.
So you can't even walk around the complex. So like you're a part of a group 4. And you have to know your number and you have to know what the schedule is and your times, because there's battles. There's rounds going off all day long. It's chaos, you know? And so like we can go back to our truck and we can hang out, eat lunch, but then I have to report at 12 o'clock. So I'm going to go to that battle at like 11:30, watch the first couple because I want to like play it out in my head, what I got to do. Because I mean, not only is it physical and you have to shoot, it's mental too, because you have to shoot your first, say you're shooting out of a barricade. So you have a circle, a square, a triangle, and you're shooting out of a barricade. You have to shoot the first one through the circle, 12 rifle, 12 pistol. Then you go back and do fitness, and then you come up and then you have to shoot through the square, 12 rifle, 12 pistol. I lost 120 seconds because I shot my rifle through the square or through the circle, whatever. I cleared out, grabbed my pistol and went to the circle or the opposite thing next to it. I didn't shoot through the same hole. So your brain is all just, it's everywhere. Like your mind is just like going through all this stuff. So it's a lot going on at once. And they do a really good job of putting these things on. They have a great team and it was a great community. We talk about community. I've met some really cool people. Like this year, the South Carolina one that at Sawmill is the range. It's a team event. So you can't go, you can go as an individual, but they're going to pair you with somebody if you don't have a teammate. And I have somebody already reaching out to me and like, hey, dude, do you want to do this together? Who I just met at the games. You know, I've connected with some that were in Northern Virginia where we're from, and they went to a local place in Northern Virginia and they're using our products, you know? And so like, it's a really cool community. People are holding each other accountable. It's just like bodybuilding, you know, it's just like any other sport, you know. It's just involves a scary thing, which is, you know, guns. But they're just tools, you know, to achieve something. And so yeah, so and then like what you said with competition, man, like I've started to really fall in love with the skill. And so like I can see myself getting into some USPSA pistol competitions. I just love learning new things and trying to be good at them. And so like there might be a phase where this is my thing for the next 10 years. And then maybe in my 40s to 50s, I'm doing something else, you know. That's like awesome. I just like picking up new skills and getting good at them.
One thing I want to ask, and I want to geek out for just 5 seconds. Mike doesn't do as much of this, but I want to know what your kit is. Like, just like, I don't care if it's not Gucci or whatever, but like what do you run? Like what kind of belt, what kind of rifle, and what kind of pistol or whatever it is that you wear?
All right, let's see. So my belt,
we're getting demonetized for this video, by the way.
Oh yeah, not even trying. I don't get into it as much. I do have some kit, but yeah, you guys are.
It totally matters, man. And like I'm already learning, like, and it's expensive, and it's like the guns are cool, but like I'm not going to the gun show because I don't want to be irresponsible and buy another gun when I don't need another gun. I need more gear. I need more ammo. I need other things to help me train.
Yes.
So
sure.
So I'm keeping most of my kit right now because I have it. It's not the most perfect thing. And I've learned, you have to learn. That's another thing that stinks about the gun industry is that you have to learn that it sucks. You can't just like, might work for somebody, but like until you actually run it and use it, you might not, you're going to be like, oh, well, like I want to change this. I want to change that, you know? So anyways, the belt I run is a Blue Alpha Gear Molly belt. I'm a big Warrior Poet Society guy.
Yeah.
John Lovell is the man. So I actually buy some stuff from them. So I have their Warrior Poet, a 2-piece belt with the inner and the outer. I have basic S-Tac Kiwi, magazine pouches. And my holster is like a Safariland setup, but it's with an Odin holster. Because it was cheaper. I didn't spend the $300 on the Safariland holster.
Is it a drop leg or is it right on the belt?
So I have a drop leg, but I switched to a mid ride on the belt because when you're squatting and you're doing a lot of moving, you realize that like that is catching and it's not making you as mobile. So I ended up buying a mid ride right on the belt, and a level 2 retention holster is very important. So because I have a level 1 that I just run at like classes and stuff like that. If I was going to compete in a competition, I'll run that. but the level 2 is necessary for if you're jumping over something and your gun comes out, well, you got to go back and get that gun. And I had to do that with my magazine a couple of times. A magazine would strip off my placard on the front of my vest, and I'd have to run back and go get it. So that's something to think about. I run a defense mechanisms plate carrier with RX plates. So the plates that you have to be as a man, you have to be 15 pounds. Mine weighed in at 18 pounds. They were like, dude, you're 3 pounds over. I'm like, well, that's all I got, so I'm running, and this is what I've been training with, so the Tactical Games has a relationship with other people, and they have a relationship with RX plates. And they have a different plate that I probably should have bought, but I got the training plate. So I think that's why I was a little bit heavier. The defense mechanisms it's not, I don't think it's meant for this training plate. And so like up here, it started to fray where the training plate hits. So it's not going to last me like much longer. I need to get it sewn or duct tape or something. I have a FN 509. So that's my pistol. I run a red dot. I run a Trojacon RMR. And then my rifle is basic, and we're working on this. This is where like I want to spend a lot of money. But I have a Diamondback DB15 that I've changed out a bunch of different stuff on it, like different stock. I've kind of played around with it. It's a 16-inch barrel. And then I have a Vortex Viper PST2, I think is what it's called. And I bought that used from a guy. So I ran the games though with a red dot, a Holosun 512, and I knew they were going to push you to distance. So we went out to 350 yards, and I've never shot 350 yards in a class. I'm pretty sure I had a 50-yard zero. And so I got nervous. So I asked for a buddy to give me a magnifier, a 3X magnifier that was probably from Amazon, piece of junk. Well, I was running it like this. So like, here's my red dot, or something like this. Here's my red dot. Here's my magnifier. So they didn't align perfectly. So it was a fun time. And then the first day, my RMR lost a screw. So like, I was like, well, I don't want to lose the RMR during the game. So like, I just took the RMR off. And so I ran iron sights the next day. Like, awesome. I've improved a lot, and I haven't competed since, but I have improved a lot with, I have a low power variable scope now, which a lot of people run 1-6 or 1-8 low power variable scopes, because you are getting pushed out to distances. It's not like you don't need to be fast with ready ups, it's not close quarters, so like most of the rifle stuff is 50 to 75, maybe 100 yards in a regular bay. And then they'll try to push you, depending on the range, they'll try to push you to some distance. And the distance was hard. Actually, that was my best event though. And I think guy was looking out. He's like, dude, I hit the first target like 3 times in a row. I'm like so in shock that I wanted to move on. And they're like, no, dude, come back. You have one more shot here. So I've learned a lot along the way. And like I said, you're always going to want to change something up. So I'd like to build a new rifle out and maybe change up some gear, but I'm just going to run it with what I have now. Cause
that's awesome.
I already have it. So.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
It's
fun.
Like
any other sport. I mean, bodybuilders have to figure out their whole setup and everything too. So you're just back to being a rookie and something. I commend you for just jumping in. That's really the way to do it. So how do you train for something like this? I am assuming, well, maybe you have access to a lot of land. It seems like people are going to have an advantage if they have the ability to shoot a lot.
Yeah. So the first recommendation is to just to start training differently. So like training is number one. So conditioning is a big part of it. So I've had to really work on a lot of conditioning. So I did a lot of it here at the Coliseum, which is a bodybuilder's gym. We only have I would just try to okay, what can I do? Right. So I did a lot of step ups. I would wear my plate carrier a lot. I started running more. In the rules, they'll say you'll need to climb a rope. So I found a buddy who had a rope and learned how to climb a rope. So I just guessed, but now I've invested in some sandbags. I need to get some more. The gym has a turf now with a sled. And so like, you just need to look for more. It's really, there's a thing, it's called tactical training, just like hard stuff and you got to get your heart rate up, and it's more conditioning. But there's strength to it too. So I like to set up, I'm following a program right now, but I like to set up stations and just how can I make this really taxing? And how can this relate to like almost like real life? Like how am I going to go out and pick up a big ass rock and move it, out of the way? So you have to think about it that way. And then for shooting, like you're going to need the live fire. But dry fire is number one for any type of shooting. So like you need to be dry firing. And so like having a good range and then having maybe some land is definitely the best way to train. So like this weekend, I joined a range that's 40 minutes away, and I'm going to go and I'm going to bring farmer carries, sandbags, and I'm going to set up my own little battle and just kind of do it on my own. So
I know Mike has a question he wants to get into. My big thing I want to talk about before we move on is something you've already hit on, but like sports nutrition in this sport. Like I consume a lot of content in shooting, like you talked about Warrior Poet. I don't follow him as much, although Mike, I think you would love his stuff with homesteading. But T-Rex Arms is the one that I like to watch a lot of, and he's a USPSA shooter. He's a real small guy. I don't think he would do the lifting, but one of the things that I noticed with all these guys is like the only thing close to nutrition that they talk about, or that you see at least, outside of just eating well. Like obviously in this community, everyone just eats good meat and food and stuff like that. Not a lot of processed foods, and seed oil is a big part. But I just see everyone drinking Monster or Reign. Like it's just like energy drinks. Everyone drinks a lot of energy drinks. And so it's funny. I want to see Core make it into there, but I also feel like Boom could find a place as well.
Yeah, I guess the question is like, how do you bridge this gap? Can it be bridged? Do they care? Like all that.
Yeah, they care. I'm actually working on, I'm trying to so the nationals are coming up here in November. And so like I know it's like, dude, they run it like we do here. You guys saw our operation. They're not running it with like a bunch of people. They're, 5 guys that maybe do everything. And I know they're busy. So, but I want to send an email, soon, and just like, what does sponsorship look like? Because I think they're going to want you to be at every single game, with a booth. So there's something there where like, how do I just want to get involved. I'm coming from the supplement industry, so I'm working on that process now. Hey, I'm next year I'm planning on competing at least 3 times, maybe volunteering. Like I love what you're doing. I personally am going to be a part of it no matter what, but I'd like to bridge a gap between this and maybe add some supplements to it. The T-Rex arm things, and when it comes to energy drinks, they're also a big part of the gaming industry. So they're big gamers. So gamers like energy drinks. And so that's where like you see a Reign in Lucas's hand all the time. Yeah. He's sponsored, he's not sponsored. It gets like thrown around a bunch. You don't know if he really is or not. But yeah, so everybody drink, dude. I just had a conversation about this. Somebody was saying, why don't we go to like a plastic drink, or what if we changed this and did this? I'm like, 16 ounce carbonated beverage is the number one consumed. It's everybody, right? So like as soon as you go away from a carbonated beverage, energy drink, you're cutting your demographic out, a little bit. So everybody drinks an energy drink. So we do an energy drink. I would love it. Boom. This is racing. This is America. This is guns. Like it does belong in there. But like the tactical games is a different world where like fitness is bigger. And I just have that passion for training and fitness. And so a lot of the training leading up to these games, like you got to be working your butt off and taking care of your body. And so that's where the supplement comes into place, and I see it fitting better there. I think the drink is great for like, going to a range day with your boys, and like every shooter is going to do that. But And it is a bigger category when you talk about all the shooters, but this tactical games, the fitness side of things, I think it just fits the supplement company a little bit better.
I understand. And especially when you're talking about a sport where there's a lot of maturity involved over safety and stuff like that. You know, a lot of your copy talks about, you know, shooting fireworks from butts and stuff like that. And while that is lots of fun, and like you said, range day with your buds is awesome, I can absolutely respect it, because I mean, out there running, moving, like carrying heavy stuff, and then having to be able to like hold your steady and actually hit 350-meter shots, like you were saying, like,
yeah,
I can only imagine.
And like I've started to get pretty picky about who I'm going to the range with. Like, I've been around, I've taken classes, and I've like from like the top of the industry guys. And if at this point, if you don't have like a holster and like, you know, you're set up to run, you know, a class, and you don't have basic skills under you, like I don't want to go because with you, and it's no offense, but like I'm trying to get better. So if like I'm spending time with you all day, like I'm not getting any better. So like I've started to get pretty particular about who I go to the range with. And majority of people that shoot just want to go to the range and they want to blow off some steam and they want to drink an energy drink while they do it. And I totally get that, but I'm just not, I want to get better. I want to improve, and I want to be good. So like, you know, that's kind of where I'm going. You know?
I really often, I got into video games in 2020, and I always got shit on, and my buddies and I'd be like, why are they so good? And I would always liken everything back to like training is very reasonable and relatable for us. Like in those same ways, like people who train all the time in the gym for bodybuilding or powerlifting, whatever, like they're a different level. Like, would you want to do a leg day with someone who doesn't, I don't know if like having knee sleeves is like the right analogy, but like I don't work out with people that are not serious about it. And there's nothing against that. Like if you want to go to the range and just shoot for fun or blow off some steam, like you were saying, that's one thing. But like if you're going there to learn and get better, like there's a certain commitment of that. There's a mindset.
Now, if you're not as good as me, but you're coming like, hey, dude, you're gonna lead and you're gonna teach me, and like, all right, cool. Like I love that. Yeah. But like I'm not going there to mag dump, you know. So we're just know that, you know.
Yeah. It's too expensive anyway.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like, you know, it blows off steam. It is good for the soul every once in a while. But
yeah, I understand. Like some days, some weekends I'll go with my friends to, you know, the 25-yard indoor range, and you know, my friends have some fun guns that they'll bring out, and it's fun to shoot some stuff that's a little bit different. But like, if I'm going to land, you know, if I'm going to wear a plate carrier and put on some stuff, like I'm not magged up, and like you said, like I'm going to do something. And also, like even just as like we were saying before about home defense and stuff, like I take it seriously, even if I'm not going to be competing in a competition.
Can I tell a story real quick? We're getting close on time, but
go for it.
You're the one with the time limit, so 5 minutes.
Yeah,
go for it.
So a guy there competing in my group was from New Jersey.
Cool.
And so a lot of these battles, you need 12 rounds. You need more than 10. You need more than 10 rounds. And he's like, I'm from New Jersey. We don't have more than 10 round magazines. And he's got a SIG P320 X5 Legion. And I'm like, dude, that's so sad. Like you have this $1,000 gun, like this speed gun, and you can only run 10 rounds. Like what a sad thing. So he was like, what do I do? And I was like, dude, there's so many people running 320s here. Just go like ask around, you know, like they'll help you out. Yeah. But another guy was like, well, why don't you do this? Do you have 5 magazines? He was like, yes. Okay. So he had to take one magazine, shoot 1 round out of that magazine. So he's got 10, 1 round of that magazine, tactical reload, stow that 1 magazine. And then there's 1 round in there. Right. So now he's shot 1, he's got 1 round in, and then he puts a full 10 in there. So now he's got 11, 10 plus 1, and then he shot 1. So he had to run, and I'm like, dude, my mind is already screwed up. I can't imagine doing. I was like, I might have just take the 2 misses each time, you know, just take the misses. So yeah, that was a funny story. And another guy, he was from Jersey too, that I met, and he said, yeah, well, I still got 15, 17 round magazines. So
I definitely know nothing about
He's got
that.
buddies.
No comment from Ben.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. I definitely only have 10.
I got friends in low places.
I have friends over state borders, is what it is. Cool. Well, Well, Mike opened it, so I'll say for the closing too. Like, thank you so much for joining. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
We're doing a big push on podcasting and getting into just like regular episodes. So I'm so happy that you're kind of the first person to get in here with us.
Yeah, well, thanks for thinking of me, and yeah, let's do it again. And
Yeah, we still have to talk about books and everything. So like, once in
yeah,
a while,
man,
maybe
we
we'll catch
didn't. I
up
mean,
on
we
stuff.
just scratched the surface.
Seriously.
And then we will have to work on, like, I mean, we all have interest in shooting. So like on another visit, I know I'm not going to be here, and Mike, you won't be here, but Ben will be in my seat right now and next weekend. Next weekend. But another time we'll have to work out like a time to either go to the range that I go to and I can bring guests, or we go to my cabin and have some fun. So
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us.
yeah, thanks guys.